Harley, she never really left me. She was kind of always there.
I'm here to report a terrible crime.
And what terrible crime is that?
This one.
She's so intimately familiar with the character of Harley Quinn. She loves devoting the energy and time to figuring her out. I think that now getting to play her again is really exciting for her too, because she gets to dive further into the character.
She came back like really, really quick.
What?
She was like ready to go.
I met with Margot in the summer of 2015.
It was a morning meeting on like a Wednesday. And when they were like, can we get you a tea or a coffee? We both were like, yeah, are you gonna, yeah, I could have like a mimosa or something. And I was just like, I love this chick. She's not really like cookie cutter playing by the rules.
And we started talking about what we were both interested in, the kind of movies that we loved, and what we both wanted to do. She told me that she had this idea, this dream of doing a Harley Quinn girl gang R-rated movie. And I was like, I'm in, 100%, 1000%, I'm in.
Isn't this fun? It's like a sleepover. Should we get pizza? Make Cosmos?
Harley, focus.
I'd pitched already the general idea, and I think the studios were a little trepidatious, especially when it came to like the R rating, and they were like, what are you trying to do here? And I was like, let me bring you a script.
When I got the script, I was like, I thought it couldn't get even more batshit crazy, and it did. It was that times 10. Christina's brain is like really interesting. Some of this stuff I'm like, how'd you come up with this? Like, what's going on in your little head?
She really could write like Harley. It's insane.
She's so able to catch the tone and spirit of these characters, like the cadence of it, the words that she uses. She's so tapped into how these characters should sound.
It was just about having fun, really. And we kind of wanted to just explode that and see what would happen if you didn't follow any of the rules, you didn't do anything that was expected.
I take my art incredibly seriously, and this is a serious place.
You know, it was the desire for us to entertain the idea of a younger filmmaker, somebody who could bring a very unique point of view to this world. We met first, and I didn't think I could do this movie. I mean, I had just finished my first feature. I was just starting to get into the system and figure out what I wanted to do next, and then I read this script, and it was like, love it first read.
It felt really right when Cathy came in. She understood the story, the characters. She had so many additional thoughts.
She can seamlessly work within a very artistic realm, and she can follow her heart, and she can hold her own, and yet she also is able to be very focused and organized and structured about executing on that vision.
Hold up. I'm telling this all wrong. Let's rewind.
I love the tone of our movie. The challenge as a director to get right, because you can veer into just pure comedy, but I want the movie to have heart and soul and a real arc for all of these women. It's a story about a group of women coming together through all the zany craziness to help one another.
I think so often women in movies are perceived as being like competitive relationships rather than friendships and collaborations. And we kind of wanted to see what it would be like to have a movie about our friends. Those, late nights at 4 a.m, after a night out, eating tacos.
Mm-hmm. Morning margaritas.
I got you.
You drink.
What?
You are so cool.
Harley is very whimsical. She uses her gymnastics.
Harley's kind of everywhere, so her style is kind of based off just being unpredictable.
It's fun to see these 4 different fighting styles come together.
I've had to do a lot of fighting and stunt work, and it's just really beyond anything I've done before in any other film. So that's been really fun and really empowering to feel like I can accomplish some of those things.
My body has definitely transformed and taken a little bit of a beating.
Those stuntmen, they were fantastic, and they were so supportive. I remember JoJo and JB go, hit him. And I go, what? No, hit him. I said, and he goes, no, hit him. And I was like, great, now that's how you're gonna do it.
Oh! Now take that guy like.
Does that hurt?
No, you didn't touch me. I was trying to sell it.
Sell the punch.
Cathy is so amazing. And same for Margot. She's been so involved. For an actor to have such a creative presence in the filmmaking process has been really inspiring for me to watch.
This whole thing really was born out of her desire.
All right, I'm gonna bring it.
She has been since day one kind of the beating heart of this project that brought us all together.
This movie owes so much to Margot. This has been a very personal journey for her, I think. It's been many, many years in the making, so I feel very honored to be a part of that.
I feel like there was just so much I still wanted to explore the first time round. Just so wasn't done. And so I'm really happy I got the opportunity now.
That felt pretty great.
It's not a party without a little drama, am I right?
Roman Sionis is a really fun character, and Cathy Yan and I have had a blast kind of taking what was there in the comics and then building it out into something new and fleshing him out and taking a slightly different spin on him.
Roman is very interesting. He's not your typical villain. He struggles and has this desperate need to be admired and loved.
I don't ask for much, do I?
No.
Why is this happening to me? Why?
He's just completely narcissistic and comes from a life of privilege. Of course he's going to get what he wants because he doesn't know anything else. He can go from being charming in 1 second
Run it by that beautiful wife of yours.
and absolutely terrifying the next.
Get on that fucking table.
He's been booted out of his very, very rich family. That absolutely kills him. He can't stand it. So he's full of rage.
Fuck family.
But at the same time, everything is about proving that he's worthy.
I know what everyone says. Here comes Roman Sionis, who was handed life on a silver spoon.
Our villain is very complicated, very nuanced, and Ewan is that kind of actor. He can bring all that nuance. We were attracted also to the idea of somebody unexpected.
Give me something with a fucking beat.
Ewan was able to bring such charm and such comedy, but also vulnerability to the role. And I love developing Roman with Christina and with Margot.
He's just such a great actor, and I think he's one of the most versatile actors out there. So he's perfect for this because it's sort of shocking in a way to see him be nasty and vile.
Is that a snot bubble? Ew. Oh, I've changed my mind. Peel it off.
He's a great villain. He really made some unexpected and brave choices with Roman, and there was room to do that in this movie. Ewan had great ideas, and him and Cathy worked on it a lot to come up with what that would be.
He wants to control everything because he can't control his own emotions, and he's a bit unhinged, which makes him a really interesting foil for Harley because she steals his thunder a lot.
I agitate his already delicate sense of mental equilibrium, that and his obsessive-compulsive need to be the center of attention.
Just the way that I think Harley makes a few good decisions in the movie that gives her more of a heroic arc. He makes the bad decisions that makes him the villain of the movie. And yet they're very similar in many ways. They're both theatrical and big and loud. He loves being the center of attention, and so does she, but Roman hates that about Harley.
You're really not as complicated as you think.
Why are you so tiresome?
He has a real suaveness, but while you hate him, you also love him. You can't help it.
Food is good. You need any more cocktails?
You buy him as the host with the most. You want to see him in that club. If he ran a club, I would fucking go to that club.
Who's having a good time? You are.
So it makes sense that people gravitate towards him, even in spite of his incredibly volatile mood swings and his kind of erratic behavior. He brings a humor to the danger, which I think is really important.
Come in, come in. We're just finishing up a little business.
We are at Roman's condo. KK is just amazing. He put together this incredible world that I think fits really nicely with Roman's character, but also is similar enough to the Black Mass Club, so it feels familiar. The loft is also meant to be on top of the Black Mass Club, so he always has sort of like a nice bird's eye view.
Well, 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 well.
Roman is showing Black Canary around his apartment, and he's going up the little shrunken heads, and he's like, look at his little ear. His little haircut.
Yeah, he's 1,000 years old.
It was just an ornament in my living room. Ew. I love it. It's so funny, and it's just improv that Ewan made up. The way he says it makes me laugh every time.
There are a few things that reflects his personality. There are a lot of masks.
It evokes a very sort of classy and worldly gentleman's parlor, but at the same time, there's something a little bit creepy about it, a little entitled.
Ow! Get out.
Oh, we got it. Poor KK can't take it anymore. So much of our film feels like an origin story. He is Roman Sionis, and he only becomes Black Mask at the very end.
There might be a bit of a scrape between me and Harley. They have to stop him at the end.
Bad guys, just outside.
He is the bad guy, and they want him to get his comeuppance.
You don't mess with Roman Sionis!
Danger, danger. Danger, danger.
In the New 52 comic, there's a roller derby fight club sort of situation. I love that comic. I just kept saying, we have to have roller derby. We have to have roller derby.
I can't think of a better fit for roller derby in an alternate universe. The world that she lives in and that this film is showing is perfect for roller derby because it is all about female empowerment. It is all about that strength.
She's the only comic book character on roller skates. The roller skating community loves Harley Quinn. The fact that she's on skates in a film, we're gonna go crazy over this.
For the derby scene, all of the skaters that are going to be in it are real roller derby skaters. Everybody on the track knows exactly what they're doing, and that'll also provide for a very cool looking environment because it's completely natural. Everybody lives on their skates. People who come from totally different career paths and backgrounds that my life would have never intersected with them without this sport. So it's a pretty special place.
Those girls are so rad. Even when you're a newcomer like me, they make you feel so welcome. The sense of community and loyalty and friendship is so strong. I mean, they're tough as hell. They dive headfirst into fights. They're insane.
We are introduced to her skating as a very aggressive roller derby player. That aggression has to carry throughout the film and into the other action scenes that feature the roller skating. So there is absolutely an element of who Harley is in how Margot has to learn to skate.
My skating was, I hope it was good. I definitely underestimated how hard it would be because I thought, I've done Itonia, I've done a lot of ice skating. Just throw some wheels on it, it'll be the same thing. It definitely wasn't as painful as ice skating, I have to say. We were fortunate enough to work with Rachel Rotten because, of course, everyone's got roller derby names.
It's really about getting her as comfortable on wheels as she was on ice. Today we really worked on Margot being able to stop on a dime. We worked on some whips, which is a transfer of energy where somebody essentially throws a skater using your arms.
With me! Okay.
It's scary at first because you pick up so much speed when you're taking that energy transfer. We worked on her taking the canary cry, getting into that movement, sound propelling her forward. So we got a lot of fun work done today. Made her hit me a little bit. It's fun.
In Suicide Squad 1, you didn't really get as much of the acrobatic style in there. In this version, there's a lot of really amazing moves that Renee does that really speak to Harley's history as a gymnast.
Doing a fight scene is difficult in its own right, and then when you put roller skates on your feet, it changes everything. Margot is so good on the skates that anything short of those bigger double gags, she was able to do just fine. When it came to some of the fight skills on the skates, because I do have the stunt and fight background, it was a little more adaptable for me to learn how to do those on the skates than to teach someone who had never done martial arts how to do martial arts in roller skates, which is a very complicated thing, by the way. Tonight we're shooting part of the movie where I'm on roller skates. We have a car, I'm attached to a car. I have to hit a certain mark on this other car to initiate my flip and then land in the right spot for the camera, so. A lot of moving parts here.
It's a lot of fun. That's what you're getting. unpredictable, and it's out of order, and it's messy and funny, and it's dangerous, and it's violent, and it's absurd. It's a wild ride. It's a bit of everything. KK Barrett, who we were so fortunate to have as our production designer, who can build out a seemingly absurd world in the most beautiful and unexpected and meaningful ways. And we knew that we wanted him so bad, and we're so lucky that he signed on.
He really has a vision and understands how to bring it to life. And he's added so much dimension to this story.
The world that KK's created is just something fun and exciting.
He gave it this timeless quality, this left-of-center quality that we haven't ever seen in DC movies.
He doesn't read a script and just look at production design. He thinks about the script, the characters, the world. It's very creative, it's very collaborative, it's thinking outside the box. You can tell that he's got that filmmaker mind because it's not what you'd expect to see. It's just taking the themes to a whole nother level.
I try to do a different genre every time. And there's a lot of things to be done in the world of comics. I thought of it as pop art, and I kind of addressed it as pop art. I play with a lot of different palettes and physical environments that I normally don't get to play with. It was a fantasy land.
We have a different version of Gotham. Gotham's interesting because it always serves as the backdrop, but we don't usually spend a lot of time delving into the inner life of Gotham. And we're doing that a little bit in this film.
I think it's all about attitude. This movie lives in a Gotham that is a little bit more edgy and tough.
I always said, too, like, our Gotham should feel not like a post-apocalyptic nightmare, but actually a place that's seen better days, but a place that is also still, like, vibrant and fun.
If Gotham is New York, we've always been in Manhattan. But that's really Bruce Wayne's Gotham. That's Batman's Gotham. And we're trying to be on the fringes a little more. We're in Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx. We're in a heightened version of that idea, and it's a land of misfits.
KK was really able to execute that, and he just brings so much taste to everything.
I approached it as if I got to decide what was in Harley Quinn's head.
Oh, I haven't had breakfast yet.
And so rather than say, this is the world of Gotham that we know through different variations, through different Bat movies, I said, no, this is what's in Harley's head, and this is how she sees things. You have to be true to the characters. And so it was true to Harley.
Harley?
The fun house? I mean, when I walked on the soundstage and saw that this is where we were going to do this epic battle, my jaw just dropped open.
I went on set and I was like, whoa, this is awesome.
It's incredible. The sets are so colorful and surreal and just absolute works of art. This isn't just like a movie set. This is something that feels sort of iconic and totally unusual and totally unlike anything I've seen in a movie before.
The fun house originally was in a hotel, and then we moved it to a fun house, and now we get to do the craziest things. And we really are paying homage to a lot of the filmmakers and films that we both love together.
We wanted something bright, irreverent, and dirty, kind of an abused pop aesthetic.
The fun house. I remember Christina and I actually, when we used to write it all up on the whiteboard, we called that the cocktail shaker. It's just when everything gets thrown together and just shook up. It's just an explosion of color. It's really amazing.
This is Louise. This is a set designer of this particular set. Louise built many, many models, trying parts in and out until it finally came to the shape that it's in. And this is Kazra, our supervising art director, who is also responsible for this set and all the others.
It was great because Luis's model tables are in the middle of the art department. We were all working on all the other things that we had to do, but everyone would walk by and have a conversation about it constantly. It was the most interesting thing, and it was kind of the epicenter of the art department, so I feel like there was a lot of input and a lot of oohs and ahs from other people in the film as well.
She's been really encouraging. I mean, really open-minded. This set was originally a hotel and a lobby and a staircase, and so she'd just come down to our room, and every time she'd look at the model, she's like enjoying it so much and dragging Margot down and everybody else and saying like, this is your fun house.
To have the chance to play for months on end, it was really play. I mean, we were building models with colors. I mean, you don't have a linear process. You try different things. You don't know what's going to work.
No real rules in a fun house. We kind of played on the fact that it was a girl gang and there were a lot of girl parts in the fun house, making fun of a bit of how women are portrayed often, but not in a derogatory sense, just a nod to history as these women kind of take control in the same space and then flip the odds on the gang that's against them. This was kind of based on a carousel building with a small apartment above it. The area that they're in, the safe house, before they get to the fun house, was probably my favorite set to stand in because it was six-sided and you never really got your bearings. It kept moving around.
This is so great.
The trigger came from us trying to reference another abandoned funhouse carousel pier, which was the Santa Monica Pier. Then it had many permutations, many permutations. It's all here.
Like our brains have a baby.
And we always wanted to have low walls where the ceilings start going up from there. So you feel like there was a lot more over you than that you saw. I loved it even before it was painted. I liked being in the space. They're opposites, so they vibrate. So it makes you even more psychotropic.
Oh, shit! Get down! Down here! Follow me!
And then there's a trapdoor in the middle of it that's a long slide that takes you down into the funhouse.
I think the slide is a pretty unique thing in this set. I've never done anything like that. The slide's like 55 linear feet. And it's a 4-foot diameter. The slide is really fun.
I thought we could do this interview going down the slide, but I thought it would take about 30 passes.
Yeah.
What?
You are so cool. Okay, this way.
We always thought that it was abandoned and kind of on the blink. The plan was that as they came in, it kind of came to life. A little bit of light came on, and different areas would have some light, and other ones would still be dark. But by the time they got to the end, they were all on and still on the blink. Well, I think the blink kind of like just bought Vegas instead.
We see all the women all fighting together for the first time and interact with such an interesting and beautiful world. Each woman has a very well-defined look. It's, I think, very iconic.
It started as being written as a carousel, and then we flipped it to a turntable of flexible hands. And the fact that you were able to see the room in 360 by the action on the turntable going around and flashing to the different areas.
Anyone else hungry?
We had this plan to build this on the Santa Monica Pier. And we were going to build it against the carousel building. And then we realized how impractical the limitations were, and we just took the whole idea and moved it, and realized that we were being slavish to the building and its architecture, and this freed us up that we didn't have to include any of that architecture. The head and hands were carved flat in a warehouse during the rainy season out of white bead foam and from a grid. So they're built out of blocks, and each block had an assignment of where it belonged in the grid. And then, like the Egyptians, they came here and they stacked all the boxes up. And it came out perfect. They were never able to put it together until we brought it here. And it was all carved by hand. Painted here, plastered here, patched up here. It took about a week.
The
Funhouse is insane. They've just gone to town. That is like bigger and wilder and weirder than I'd ever dreamed.
Any gag that you want to pull off, you didn't have justification for it. In a Funhouse, you can do whatever you want.
Movies are a delicate curation of all the people that come together to work on them. From Sue to Margot to Brian to Cathy, Aaron, and Maddie. It's such a good, spirited group of people that all want to push and do something different and have fun with it. And respect the energy of this type of film, but also twist it and spit it out. Kind of fun, you know?
I think they just wanted a fresh take on a superhero and that it was something that could all relate to.
Erin is just so innately cool. She's got the finger on the pulse of all things in fashion. And it's been really fun being able to say, like, yeah, that's a great costume that is coming from a purely female perspective. There's no male gaze, and it just feels different, you know. And we're making clothes that women want to wear.
We sort of took our characters existing, you know, from all different variations of comics that they've lived in, and we got inspired by it. So that's how we've been guiding ourselves.
I had a lot of specific ideas, but they didn't really fit together. I was like, I love this costume here, and I love this idea here, and she's so smart. She could find a way to weave it all in.
The costumes are so fun and badass and take this genre to a new place for me, particularly the way that we've seen women in these kind of movies.
There are no catsuits, no onesies, no spandex. We tried to avoid doing egregious bustier moments. We tried to create clothing that we would all want to wear and feel really good in.
In Suicide Squad, we really had one costume.
Oh, no, not that one. Sentimental value.
She picked it out of the box she was given, sort of thing. So we had a real opportunity here to really look at, okay, what does Harley wear when she's got all the options available to her? I thought there was a real opportunity to kind of go mental.
Everything Harley does is totally impractical. She will wear something that is just not appropriate for the situation. It's like wearing a big jacket with things flowing off it while trying to do a fight. I mean, none of it makes sense, which is so Harley. She'll bring a baseball bat to a gunfight. It does not make sense, but whatever to her seems like the most fun option, she's always going to go for it.
One of the fun things about Harley is that she has a little bit of a DIY vibe to her, and that's something we wanted to embrace and also engage our fans in their own versions and their own DIYs of everything. So, you know, her shorts are literally painted. Her suspenders are just made out of ribbons and D-rings. We wanted a party jacket, but, you know, Harley's a pretty dangerous lady, so the caution tape was a warning. Don't get too close.
That felt pretty great.
Huntress doesn't have the flair like Harley does.
For fuck's sake! Oh. We were looking at what can she move in? What's going to be useful to her in terms of tactical ability? You know, what can she actually keep weapons in? Can she roll? Can she stretch? Can she kick? Can she do all these things? And what's not going to get in the way of that?
So the idea was that whatever she wore was functional towards that mission. Everything was utilitarian, and yet you could find it. You know, she's in a lot of tracksuit type gear. And the idea being she kind of has a one-track mind.
We incorporated her purple and black as her hero colors. She oftentimes has a cross on her comic book characters, and so we incorporated that as well. And I think the idea was that she is always someone that's operating at night, so everything sort of has a black sheen, so we can, you know, pull her out from a dark setting, but not be distracted by it, and she wouldn't sort of be found by it.
I really like how you were able to kick so high in those tight pants.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's been a really long process in finding our own Black Canary.
Canary was fun because I felt like she was a great opportunity to ground this in some vintage feelings. And so she kind of has the 70s vibe with a modern twist. You don't oftentimes see denim in like superhero movies. And so I really wanted this opportunity to see this thing that we all wear every day. Like, let one of our superheroes be in that. She's like our unexpected superhero.
Not interested, lady. Thanks for the coffee.
Renee is that person you don't want to like push her over the edge of reality in any way. You want to ground her in feeling like she's a badass cop.
And Miss Montoya, we do have a dress code.
I shaved my balls for this. Oh my God. When I saw it in the wardrobe fitting, I just couldn't stop laughing. And Erin, the costume designer, she went, yep, that's it.
There was Get Your Pants Out. There was I Pee in Pools, which didn't really have any connection to our movie, but we all just made us laugh. Yeah, I think the I shaved my balls for this was just the most like offensive to her character.
And I loved it because it just so contradicts everything Renee Montoya is about. And that's the only thing she has to wear, and walking through the police department with it and all the men around. It's hilarious. Are you fucking kidding me?
Our 12-year-old hero. She was tricky actually for us because we wanted to make her feel real with her story. And we also wanted to like make her look really cute and kind of innocent. So there was this kind of push and pull of hard and soft. We knew our way in was like a little tomboy look and a little tomboy vibe, and she has to be able to put all the things that she steals for herself somewhere.
The main prop, I had to make a cast. I designed 2 actually, and I drew a bunch of stuff on it. I wrote a couple battle words.
It's funny, this movie has this heightened reality, so whenever we play with style, you have to be careful where it lands. And some characters can just go over the edge and it's fine, and then others, like Cassie, can't.
One day you're gonna pick the wrong pocket, sis.
This is probably the most flamboyant costumes I've ever worn, but this is flamboyant in a more today's sort of fashion.
Okay. I'll go get changed.
We played with ego with him. We used that part of his character to infiltrate everything. You know, if you lift open the inside of his suit jacket, it's his initials. His shoes have his initials. His gloves have his initials. His pajamas have a portrait of himself in a repeat pattern. We took that character trait and ran with it.
I mean, this is a pretty loud fucking shit show of a message.
I think we were able to create a unique look for the movie and pay homage to the comics, but also make it feel relevant for what women want to see.
It's been challenging, and we've created something that has high energy and joy, even amidst its sort of apocalyptic, doomed, larger situation.
Aren't you glad you wore that? Sexy and bulletproof.
Cathy's directive on the visual effects was to keep us as grounded in reality as possible.
It's kind of a weird hybrid stylized reality, almost like Pulp Fiction meets Clockwork Orange in a weird way. It's just a strange film that has its own voice, which is fun.
Harley Quinn does not have supernatural powers like many other DC comic characters, so the goal was to focus on her unique and quirky personality.
It's such a specific tone to try to hit. There's so many storylines, and the story and the out-of-order nature of the story.
Everything that takes place in this film reflects who Harley is and who she's become. And it was definitely her story.
Oh shit, is that a hyena in a bathtub?
I named him Bruce after that hunky Wayne guy. Once we're actually in pre-production, it was like the biggest conundrum we had was how do we shoot these scenes with a hyena?
Oh, yes, baby.
Early on, we actually went out to Palmdale, which is about an hour from here, and met up with some animal trainers that actually had a hyena. Learned about how dangerous it would actually be to have on set.
And apparently if this hyena touches anything, it considers it to be his. So we're like, okay, can he sit on a couch? And they're like, yes, but then it's his couch. Like, he will eat it, and if someone tries to take it away from him, he'll, like, eat you.
It was an interesting challenge because at first, everyone was very nervous about having a CG creature in the film.
We had a dog, a big, big, big dog.
Margot and Cathy were saying, actually, we want to be able to touch him and really kind of interact with him because they wanted to kind of build a relationship. It wasn't just, hey, there's a hyena. They actually she wanted to kind of stroke his face.
Once the shots were selected that would have Bruce in them, those plates were turned over to Weta, and Weta would begin by tracking in the CG model that they would have already created so that his movements matched the movements of our stand-in German Shepherd.
That was really important for us to get the performance from the real animal.
I did a lot of, like, miming, acting, like, hello, Bruce. Hello. But for a lot of it, I actually had a dog to interact with, which was great.
Birds of Prey focuses on an area of Gotham that is a little more seedy and far less stylized than other superhero films.
You know, KK, at the beginning, he had brought out a mood board that kind of showed the different feelings of the film. Dirty alleys and very specific costume designs and haircuts and things like that. It really kind of set the tone for it. So that was something that was very specific to the way Cathy wanted to do it. Ace chemical sequence was basically where Harley and Joker formed her personality when she fell into the giant vat of acid. So it was very symbolic, and it was a nice little kind of way to start the movie with a bang, so to speak.
I have the best idea.
For the visual effects team, as we developed the Ace chemical sequence, we went through many, many reference photos of chemical plants and refineries all throughout the world.
There's a bunch of different kind of like oil factories and things like that here in Los Angeles that we went and we took a lot of photographs to kind of get all the details.
We also referenced images of crazy explosions and powdery type fireworks so that we could take elements of all of those references and build them into this one shot showcasing Harley's grand statement to Gotham.
It's, you know, just a huge explosion, bigger than you've ever seen.
Anyone else hungry? I know a great taco spot.
I love tacos.
Really?
For the Canary Cry sequence, we actually did quite a bit of research looking into both comic book frames and looking through some of the TV work and other film work that's been done.
The Canary Cry was, it kind of went through some interesting evolution in terms of what it was going to be in the film. It was originally going to be a much more sonic thing, where it was just kind of sound and we didn't see anything. But, you know, as we were putting things together, everyone was kind of feeling they just wanted to see a little something.
It's the supersonic cry and the waves, but the physicality, the strength that's housed inside of her body was something that I wanted to incorporate into the Canary Cry.
Again, our friends at Weta stepped up to execute the work on these shots, utilizing some of the stunt elements that had been shot on set.
It ended up getting much more tangible in post, you know, just to really kind of sell it and really kind of hit it hard. There was a suspension of time and imagery as it kind of initially was blowing back. And everyone kind of felt they wanted more of a visceral punch, more of a violence. Like when it first comes out, these waves actually pancake the soldier guys, the mercenaries, and actually knock their weapons out of their hands, refracting the air and creating this pathway for Harley to kind of escape out of the funhouse.
And chase after the Rolls Royce. I'm proud of so many of the shots in the film because I feel that they represent Harley's very quirky, off-center personality.
Margot was great. She was always involved. She would even come making sure things are going well, however she could help. Her and Cathy obviously worked together collaboratively on this, but you know, based on the way we were shooting this, we always wanted everything grounded in reality. Everything just kind of came together, which was great. It created a lot of exploration in the edit, so yeah, it was really fun.